Hello, everyone. Saturday morning coffee with Kendra, which is going to turn into Saturday morning tea. I will explain that in a bit, but I'm enjoying it. I'm trying to wean myself off so that I don't have too many headaches. Caffeine bad. I'm going to share with you why. But first, I have a couple of announcements. I'm going to be speaking in Providence, Rhode Island at the Diocese of Providence. So if you are around that area and you're not doing anything on November 4th, which is a Saturday, next Saturday, I would love to meet you. The whole day is going to be talking about prayer. So I have 2 talks. I will also be there selling my book and also something new that I'll share with you in a few moments. I am also going to be at Women of Christ in Brookfield, Wisconsin, and that is at the Brookfield Conference Center. Whole new place. I'm telling you, get online, womenofchrist.net. If you're interested in going, I would love to meet you. It's about sold out. That is so awesome. And you can go to womenofchrist.net to check out the vendors that will be there. Lots of goodies for you to take home that can help you on your spiritual journey and your prayer life. Speaking of which, I have an announcement for something new. I am super excited to announce my partnership with Perusia Media in Australia. And we are putting together, which, by the way, don't look at this green background. It's a little mistake. We're trying to write it, but this is what it is. So you can see a beautiful little container, which is Kendra Von Esch, Rosary Reflections for the Distracted Person. It's got a nice little magnet type of close, but this is the key. Ha ha ha. It is actually a key ring. So if you look at it, it is Kendra Von Esch, and then on the back, Rosary Reflections and my website. This is available on perusiamedia.com. So this little thing opens and you can just put it right on your key ring. This is a USB, which typically goes inside a laptop or a tablet, and then you just flip it if you want it to go into your phone. That's a USB-C. So there's no excuse for you not to be praying your rosary somewhere. Now this means I'm taking down my playlist on YouTube. So if you want one of these, send me an email, kendra@kendravonEsch.com. I am charging $40 for this. There's a bonus on here too. It's the song that I wrote with Anna Nuzzo and sung with her. God would be more pleased if you were to pray 1 decade of the rosary from your heart, with all your mind and your soul and your strength, than to pray all of them and not really think about it, not meditate on it, and be totally distracted with your to-do list and all the other worldly cares that you have in your life. I also have a book that is $15 typically at these events. But if you want both of these, I can send them both out. I can sign this book for $50. Just send me an email at kendra@kendravonEsch.com. It's a great gift. All right, moving on. And I'm also partnering with Perusia Media for my brand new book, Soul, Mind, and Body, Conquering Addictions and Bad Habits. So stay tuned for that. A couple of changes to my YouTube channel. I am going to not put my Reality Reflections podcast up there anymore. That's just one step. I need my laptop. It takes some time to do it. It's just not necessary. You can listen to my podcast on any of your podcasting platforms, on Spotify, on Google Podcast, on Apple Podcast, on Stitcher, Breaker, Castbox. Go to my website and click on the podcast tab. There are so many ways for you to listen to my daily 10-minute, which is usually 15 or 20, podcast, Monday through Friday. And I have taken down the Rosary Reflections. I'm going to do this. Let's talk about caffeine, shall we? You know it has to be bad for you if you have to wean yourself off of it. You've heard what fight or flight is, where your body, we react to something extremely dangerous, and that is good for our body to have that ability. But when it's constantly repeated through a substance like caffeine, we are going to be going so high that our lows are going to be so low. And then we're going to stay there and we're going to need that lift all the time. It's going to ruin our adrenals and it's going to have a chemical imbalance on our frontal lobe. Huh? What does that mean? The frontal lobe is where we communicate with God. It is where we have our reasoning, our judgment, our will comes from this frontal lobe. And drinking caffeine, and I've found out so many other things that I have to change, but I got to pray through it because that means big changes in my life. Drinking caffeine messes with this because of the fight and flight chemical imbalance that occurs because every cup of coffee that we drink, we raise acetylcholine and we raise dopamine. And the other chemical that actually lowers is adenosine, which is where, you put on the brakes on the body. Obviously that lowers because we are in an urgent situation and we have got to get out of it. We've got to, really have our adrenaline pumped up. So if we're going through that with our cup of coffee, we're going to have a downer afterwards. And it's messing with the chemical balance of the frontal lobe, which is where we communicate with God. I don't know if you know this, but the frontal lobe on human beings is 35 to 38% of our total brain. God made us to communicate with him. On the contrary, monkeys have 13%. So those of you who think that we somehow came out of monkeys, not the case. That's actually quite ridiculous. There are so many arguments against that. However, science and the brain work together. God created us scientifically on purpose. Our brains are specific to us as human beings who have rational thought. But you want to know the cool thing? Satan doesn't have access to that part of our body. That is where our thoughts come from. Only Satan and his demons have access to kind of the back section, which is our limbic brain, our emotional brain. You might have even heard it called e-brain before, not sure. But that's where evil attacks us, in the emotions, in the thoughts and the feelings back here. Only God. That's the place that we rationalize and we judge and we come to look at situations with his grace, with the Holy Spirit, if we invite him in and say, show us the truth. And many, many times we have seen people not go through that conversation with God, not call on him for his grace, which again will get us through anything. He will always give us enough grace to walk away from that sin and to mend that relationship. Always. We just have to ask. So I'm thinking that maybe let me take this month, wean myself off of this coffee and see how I feel, because I did it back in January. I was also thinking about dairy, probably going to go to something like chamomile tea, but something completely caffeine-free. I think that's completely caffeine-free. So if any one of you want to join me for a November challenge, maybe you give something up. And this is, something that I've become accustomed to. I've even named a video after it. So now I just have to have it Saturday morning coffee. Saturday with Kendra? I don't know. Alrighty, I know that some of you may be freaking out about the status of the world. That evil is coming out of the shadows everywhere. There are beautiful movies out there that can help you through the process of understanding what is going on in the world. There's one called Into the Light by Mike Smith, I think. And there is another one by Dinesh D'Souza, which is Police State. And you go to policestate.net. These are some movies that can help you chill out and realize, okay, wait a minute. I can see what's going on. I can see there's corruption. What is the world going to do about it? And also, what can you do about it? That's one of the things that I was noticing when I went to confession. I went to the usccb.org, put in examination of conscience, and read a little bit about how we need to act in the public square. And that means that we should act. We should vote. It's our duty. It's part of our faith. So you might want to check that out. I'll put the link in the description below because I'm sure a lot of you might also want to check out the marriage, the single person, the young person, and what is the other one? The 10 Commandments. Get a pen, get a piece of paper. It's going to rock your world. But enjoy. Okay, I'm going to go over to the soul, mind, and body group. I'm going to talk more about what I'm going to do with my soul. That includes some advice from my priest that I went to confession to this past Thursday. Okay, everyone, I love you all. Find something more with God, soul, mind, and body. Have a blessed and inspired day.